my friend, in this lecture I will explain you step by step what are layers and how to use them efficiently in Godot. What I am about to say is very important, so focus. After you draw something on blank sheet of paper, like for example this, and you decide to put another thing like this, everything is like on the same sheet of paper, so we overwrite all the things behind it, right? There is no way to decide which thing should be drawn first. We can't like move forward now our yellow triangle, right? It's not possible because everything is on the same sheet of paper. And in Godot, by default, everything is on the same sheet of paper, but the order of drawing is decided by these nodes here. So, in our case, the first thing that is drawn is tilemap, and afterwards, the player. If we put player before tilemap, he disappears because the game will just draw on the player tilemap. So the order is decided like this. But this is not always what we want. Sometimes we want to change the order and we can change it. Like for example here. Here is ordering and by default everything is on the same Z index. You can say this is now 1 and when you go here, this is now 0. So it doesn't matter now in which place it is put, right? It doesn't matter where our player is now. He is now gonna be drawn first. But it's because we set it on different level of the index. I will show you now something super interesting. Notice that when I draw here water, so between one and another ground, what will happen? We've got here really some kind of transparent background behind and it doesn't look good, right? So it would be great if we could somehow paint it behind the grass or behind the sand. Can we do it? Well, there is a problem because anything that is in this tilemap is really on the same level of layer. So it is like the same sheet of paper. We replace whatever we draw here. How do we solve it? We need to create a separate layer for water and separate for ground. How do we do it? In tilemap, we have got here a property that says layers. And by default, layer 0, which is here that you can choose from, is called 0, so nothing. You can change it and type here, for example, ground. We can now add another element and let's call it, for example, water. But there is a problem. We painted water before on the layer 0. We need to remove it, firstly, okay? And now we're gonna paint it on the water layer. As you can see, the color here changed to inform you that we are right now on different layer. And now when I paint, for example, water like this, hey, it looks the same as before, nothing changed. No, something has changed. But the order of painting in our game for layers is always from the top to bottom. So the game painted ground and then the water on the ground. If I hit this arrow here, now water is painted first and then the ground. It is super important to remember to always paint on the layer that you want to paint on. I know that it seems like super easy thing, but notice that when I do something like that, we are on different layer. And to be honest, we achieve what we wanted because water was like, is now gonna stick to this water. But we have now water on the ground and on the water layer in the same time. And why is it a problem? Because when I decide to remove water from somewhere, now I can remove this part, right? Because this is on different layers. So in water layer, I can remove only things that were painted on water layer, right? So this can cause some problems. Fortunately, in the newest version of Godot, it is going to change. How? Well, first let's save our tree for the tilemap, because we need to import it soon. Instead of creating a tilemap, as you can see, it is deprecated in newest version, which means it is not gonna be removed in future. You can use something what is called Tilemap Layer. Okay, now here I can quickly load the tileset that we used before. What differs between these two layers now? Well, the name is different, but there is a big difference. Here we have layers, but here we do not have layers property, which means we can't now have two different layers in the same tilemap. And this is super cool. Why? This thing, this layer can be now, for example, tilemap ground, okay? And I would not have here water. I'm going to remove water from here. I'm going to create another tilemap layer, okay, like this. And I am going to put them together, okay, into node 2D. So they are grouped. So I can see exactly, hey, here are tilemaps, okay? So because I have tilemaps here, I do not need to call them tilemap ground now, but only ground. And here I'm going to call it, for example, water, okay? And now, here I know that I'm going to print ground, and here I want to print what? Water, right? So we need to apply water here. So let's set a new tile set for just water, right? 64 by 64. Tile set, water, automatically, right? And now when I want to paint water, this is instantly on different layer, okay? Let's hide this for a second. And now let's try to do what we had before. So let's go into terrain. Let's put some grass here, right? Like that, for example. Let's put some sand. And let's see how do we attach water now. So we go into water, and now we can choose this water here and paint it, right? Like, for example, this way. But somehow there is now the same problem. No, remember that the order of drawing is from top to bottom. So we painted ground and then the water. But now in order to change the order, you need to just move the node. And this is cool, very cool, because you don't need to go into properties. You can clearly see what order things are drawn in your scene manager, right? You can just see, okay, so water, ground, that's all. And when you are printing water, you go to water. Okay, so I'm going to print water now, right? Okay, I need to put some ground. Okay, I am putting ground now, right? You can decide what is put in what time, right? You will not make the same mistake. And what's more, you can now jump between these layers, right? You can like, okay, I need to put water now. Okay, so let's go to water, right? Or I can go back to the ground. So you can jump between all of them, or you can select all layers at once. This is super cool. So now if you decide to have objects, for example, you put here another tilemap layer, right? And you decide in which order the objects should be painted. I think that they should be painted on the ground. Okay, so first the water, ground, then objects. I can clearly see without having to go, you know, here, then look here. And in the same time, I can make a mistake here. This is prone to mistakes. This, no. But this is only available in the future versions of Godot.